any feel for the projects that are going on using edge computing at the moment, as to how many of those are ones where data is being generated at the edge and then being processed locally and or then sent back to a more central location, and how many are the reverse? So maybe it's a content provider that has a big centralized data center but works out that at certain times for certain reasons it's better to push that content local to where it might be needed, say in a film launch or something like that.
Yeah, so is the theory real? Where's it playing out, right? If I had to summarize your question, and I think the one that we watch the most, that we see it playing out in real time, as I like to say, is retail. Because retail stores are, to me, is a great place to study what's happening with the edge, because they've got all the elements of what's going to be necessary for a local edge strategy. First of all, they're under incredible business threat from Amazon and online retailers. So the response that many of them have is, hey, we've got to make our store experience different because that's something that Amazon can't replicate. And inevitably that leads towards, and they're all doing different things, but it leads towards much more technology being deployed at the store, and that technology is much more mission critical. So I met with one retailer and they said, look, when customers come in, I want all of our associates to have a tablet. And I want them to have that tablet because if you come into my store, if they ask if something's in stock, the answer is, of course it is. Maybe just not in this store, but here, I'll hit this button. You'll be at your house tomorrow, right? So they want to leverage that, but the key thing is that they have to have that up and running so that you don't leave the store. Magic Mirror is another one that's talked about, where I can stand in front of the mirror and I can try on different clothes, and it's just lots of different things they're experimenting with to give a different, unique experience for the customer. All of that is driven by technology about, what's the wireless coverage in the store? How do I make sure I keep that up and running? Because it's no longer, if the power goes out, for instance, or if the application goes down, well, I'll still just check them out. You have to have the IT there, or the experience goes away. So there's a big focus from retailers for that on how do we actually go and do it. They got a mission critical reason to be investing in the edge, right? Number two, they've got incredible complexity in terms of the number of stores that they have to manage and the geographic dispersion of those. So, if you look at major retailers, they might be all over the world. You're talking about thousands of stores. And the other thing they're experiencing is, a concern over cybersecurity. So all of a sudden, if I've got IT and I've had it in the past, I like to say the first step of cybersecurity is physical security. Historically, that's not something they've had to worry about. So that's kind of a mission critical data center type thing to worry about, is how do I physically lock this thing down and make sure only certain people get access to it, is really interesting. So we like watching retail because it's playing out in real time. It's really happening. And again, the lessons that we're learning from that vertical, I think, can be applied in many others, and we're seeing that happen as well. And then of course there's a lot of talk about 5G rollout, and I think that's still a market in development in some ways about what might that architecture look like and how it's going to play. But certainly that's going to be another one as 5G really hits, and what's Uber going to do with the autonomous driving cars. I don't think there's any question there's going to be some amount of computing at the edge. But so those are the two that we're watching most closely, trying to learn the most from. And I think the lessons out of both of those will be able to be applied, more broadly in different verticals, and manufacturing, and as another example.